Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy, and you're listening to my podcast, Vox&Hops, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians and we talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. This is it, the final weekend of my Heavy Montreal interviews. It has been 6 glorious weeks, but all good things must come to an end, and this is the case. I just want to give one last time a huge shout out to all the people that made my time at Heavy Montreal possible, and I'm extremely grateful and thankful. And I really, really appreciated all the help that I got as the weeks came towards Heavy Montreal happening. So here's my huge shout-out list to JF Michaud, the Vox&Hops alumni, to Nick Farkas, Vox&Hops alumni, to Lisa Lee for being the coolest, my producer, Jessica Buckingham, to Dan for making sure I had nice cold beers at Heavy Montreal, and to Marie-Mado Langlois from Brasseur de Montreal for hooking me up with a bunch of craft beers that I can enjoy with my guests throughout my interviews. So a huge, huge thank you to everybody that I just mentioned. I had a great time, and it would not have been possible without all you, so a huge, huge thank you. I just came back from an excellent beer fest experience at Festival Bière et Saveurs de Chambly in Chambly, Quebec. It was my first time there. I had always wanted to go, and I just never ended up going for some reason. So finally, I got my media accreditation, my media passes, and I headed over there this past Sunday. I went with the whole family, and I had a great time. I ended up interviewing 6 amazing brewers from breweries that I really respect and actually purchase beers from. So it was almost like meeting rock stars. So it was really, really cool. In case you missed it, last Tuesday, I released the first of the Vox&Hops Brewer Talks, which will be coming out on Tuesdays. The first one came out of the 6 last Tuesday with my interview with Hugues Leroux Kelly from Matera Brasseur Tonnelier. And you guys should check it out if you missed it. Today on the podcast, I am with Dan Jacobs, the guitarist of Atreyu. Here it is, Vox&Hops, episode number 60.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm with Dan Jacobs from Atreyu, and we are at Heavy Montreal.
Yeah.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. We just got in town, just flew in. We're getting ready to fly out tomorrow, so this is a quick little banger.
How do you feel about those? I don't know. I'm in a band as well. I scream for a band called Cryptopsy.
Nice.
And these one-off shows I always find are just so much more work, and, you know, getting, like, I don't know if you guys are, like, touring and you guys are actually in shape, or you had to actually practice for this.
Oh, yeah.
I find it's always way more fucking work than being on tour.
See, for us, this one's kind of nuts because we just got off the Disrupt Festival tour for a month, and it ended for us in San Diego, California. So that was yesterday.
Okay. So
it was 2 days ago.
Okay, so you guys are fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so yesterday, we basically went home 2 days ago, woke up the next day, got on a plane, flew here, got in at 12:30 last night, and here I am today.
Crazy, crazy. Have you ever played Heavy Montreal before?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think we've played it at least once, maybe twice.
This is, from my experience, having played over the world, playing Wacken, playing Hellfest, playing Brutal Assault, I think this is one of the most premier festivals in the world, and I'm so proud that it's in my hometown.
It's awesome.
And that, bands from all over the world come over and get to experience it.
Dude, northeastern Canada area has some of the most epic concert events, you know, and like the crowds are so much more fun and like so energetic. And I mean, we did one in Quebec City, like, you know, not too long ago, about a year ago actually now, and it was just like one of the best shows we ever had in our lives. And it was like, oh my gosh, man, like we need to come to Canada way more often. Like, what are we doing?
We're I don't know what it is, if it's the cold, if it's the great beer that we have.
Yeah.
Especially Quebec City, there's something special about that. There's like, they always just go off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. I always get asked that question, like, what part of the world has the best crowds? And I never really know. A mosh pit is a mosh pit to me.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that home is really much more intense.
It really is. Yeah. I'd say a lot of the best shows honestly are in Canada. There's like an energy there that's I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like you said, the beer, the water, who knows, but there's something there.
I know that in the States you guys have many more tours that come through all the time. Maybe it's like an oversaturation, whereas not many bands actually make it up into Canada to do the whole run because of the long drives and shit. So maybe people are a bit more appreciative, or a bit more
not as
starved.
Jaded.
Yeah. You guys are one of the pinnacle bands of metalcore.
Yeah.
No, I know that there's that whole thing. That's not where I'm going at.
Yeah.
I would like to know some of the metalcore bands that you used to play with that you miss, that you wish would come back and still be there.
Oh man, that would come back. Ooh boy. I mean, there was as far as metalcore, I don't know. I mean, most of them are kind of still around. I mean, like when we started, it was like us, Under Oath, Thrice, Avenged Sevenfold, Killswitch Engage. Those were kind of like, As They Lay Dying. That's kind of all the bands that were like there. Most of them came from Southern California. Other than, if you want to dig a little bit deeper, there was a band called Hope's Fall that was pretty cool. We did some tours when we toured them in Avenged Sevenfold back in like 2003, maybe something like that. And they had some jams that were pretty cool, But most of the really good metalcore bands, they're all still around. So it's luckily you don't have to miss them too much, Do
you feel that the scene has evolved with you guys?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, I feel like this is the first time, the past 20 years is the first time where like stuff hasn't changed as much as it's done in the past. Like metalcore still sounds for the most part kind of like it always has. It was a little more stripped down before, but it's kind of more polished now. But I feel like even the way people dress to just what's in and what's popular. You look at the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s. They're very defined generations from
That's correct.
Aesthetically to sonically and audibly, whatnot, with these bands and culture and everything. And I feel like the past 20 years hasn't shifted as much. It's kind of almost stayed the same. I feel like people still dress like they always have. Like I haven't really changed how I dress too much over the years, and it's kind of come back around again. I already see people looking like emo again. I'm like, man, what year is it? Like, what's going on?
Are you going to bring it back?
A little bit, man.
Yeah.
I'm started wearing makeup on stage again.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring back the theatrics. One of the things that I really love getting into the scene and what I feel I brought to the metalcore scene and to music in general is bringing back kind of the over-the-top 80s vibe, whether it be the big guitar solos, the eccentric stuff on stage, as far as clothes. My guitars are all super crazy looking, and even wearing makeup on stage just to, just look more of a showman, more entertaining to look at while performing.
Give people their money's worth.
Yeah, exactly. It's called a show for a reason, right?
Vox&Hops is all about craft beer and hanging out with metal musicians.
Yeah.
Today I brought you a Griffintown from Brasseur de Montreal, who graciously gave me a bunch of beers for this festival to share with all my guests.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, let's see what this sucker's got. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Perfect for this weather.
It is. It's really good.
Nice and smooth. Are you a craft beer enthusiast?
I don't know about enthusiast, but I have a merch company, and we do obviously stuff for bands and things like that, but we also have a side of it called Craft Beer Merch. And we made a lot of merchandise for breweries and stuff. So in doing so, I've got to kind of go to all these breweries and drink all their beer. And I got to go to Great American Beer Festival a few years ago, which is madness. I don't know if you've ever been before.
I have not.
The GABF is wild. It's like 600 plus breweries in a convention center.
Where is that located?
It's in Denver, Colorado.
Okay, yes, the mecca of craft beer. There's a few meccas of craft beer in the States, and Denver's definitely up there.
It's up there, yeah. I've dipped in it a lot, you know what I mean? I'm not like the hugest beer drinker where I'm like drinking beers every day. I like to, sometimes I'll drink wine, sometimes I like my cocktails and stuff, but I do look at good beer here and there, good, nice, smooth, cold, especially on a hot day, it's
if you could pick a style of beer that is the only style of beer that you can drink for the rest of your life, what style of beer would that be?
Probably go with a lager or a pilsner of some sort. It's something light and drinkable. I feel like everything kind of started that way to an extent. You can shift a little bit into like the whether it be like the ambers or even like the porters or like the just the thicker, heavier beers.
Stouts.
The stouts. Yes. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for. The stouts. Double barrel aged madness, like I like all that stuff. It's really good, but like it's some of it's almost overwhelming. I feel like when you got too much alcohol percentage in a beer, I take 3 sips and I'm like drunk. But I want to drink all day, I don't want to drink one beer and be drunk. I want to drink 10 beers and slowly achieve a really nice intoxication, So I think a lager, a pilsner, something really light is kind of more what I've kind of ended up going back to.
The more that I've been doing this, I love all types of beer and big heavy beers.
Yeah.
But I want to appear that I can't get drunk. Drinking is a big part of the podcast and being with people, but I don't want to be that sloppy drunk.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that reputation. And I think a nice pilsner, if that's the only drink that you could drink for the rest of your life, is an excellent decision.
Yeah, it's refreshing. Yeah. It's probably the most refreshing style of beer that you can get, without it getting too thick or too heavy on too much flavor in any direction.
What would be if you had to pick a favorite brewery?
Favorite brewery?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm probably going to go with The Brewery, Bruery.
So good, yeah.
They are a local brewery to us. They run on the corner from my office, actually.
Really?
And one of our clients. And they have such a class to what they do, and they're so left of center with their styles of beer. They don't make anything really that's, they don't make any IPAs or anything like that. They've completely just gone away from that. Other than their offshoot brewing, they have a brewery called Offshoot that does strictly IPAs and stuff like that, so they can still make that but not be The Brewery. But I love them just because they do a lot of different stuff. They have like their Black Tuesday, and they have these big like double barrel aged, like huge beers that are like 20% alcohol.
Yes,
and
I featured one on a podcast from the brewery. It was absolutely delicious. It was like an 11%.
Oh yeah, and that's a light one for them. Yeah. That's one of their lighter beers, But yeah, I think as much as I'm sitting here going off about how I prefer a light beer at the end of the day, just how exquisite their beers are. They're all sold in 25-ounce bottles, so it's kind of like a champagne wine bottle vibe.
You should approach it that way and share it with someone.
It is. It's
Those
very
are
much
beers
shared.
that should be an experience with someone else.
Even though I've seen some savage people do stuff where they'll take 2 bottles of brewery beer. One will be like, say, like a wild, like sour, like a boysenberry sour, and then they'll take like a Black Tuesday, which has got more of a chocolate kind of base to it, and they just mix them together and make their own blend.
I've seen that happen too. Yeah.
Ooh, that is just, man.
It's like, fuck you, brewer.
Yeah, fuck you, brewer, and fuck my life right now because I'm going to be hammered.
I love that. I didn't know that you did a merch company. How did you get involved with that? Did it come from being in the band and being that guy?
Yeah, I do all kinds of stuff in the merch world, actually. I mean, it started initially in 2007. My brother and I, my brother wasn't doing anything at the time. My band was successful and doing all this stuff. So we're like, off the back of that, we're like, let's do something else that's kind of music related. So we started a clothing line called ROKK Clothing, which was kind of like heavy metal, rock and roll influence looking clothing line.
That's so cool. Then, do you do the designs? Is that you? Or do you guys outsource?
We outsource the designs, but we have an influence as like what we're looking to do with it.
Of course, yeah.
And then from there, after a couple years, my band's endorsed by Monster Energy Drink. So via Monster, one of the guys who worked there at the time, I was like, hey, can I do a collaboration with you, like a Monster rock clothing thing? They're like, sure. So we made these Def Leppard looking Monster shirts that they still make and produce today.
Awesome. You still get a cut?
I don't know.
Bastards.
Damn it, Monster. but it's the only shirts that I've seen over time that have stood the test of time and they're still using. So off the back of that, we're like, man, this is a faster way for us to make money and get to kind of make creative stuff. We're like, let's try to make stuff for other people. So we started our company, Rock World Merchandise, and we make merch for everybody. A lot of different bands, a lot of festivals, a lot of actual merch companies print through us.
Really? Okay.
So we get to print for an endless amount of bands. It's so cool.
How does it go? How big of a warehouse do you have to have?
It just depends on what you're doing. I mean, in our particular case, we have a 20,000 square foot warehouse that we've come up with. Yeah, and we over the past year we got our own print shop now too. So we were doing merchandising. Now we're doing screen printing and sewing and all embroidery and all stuff
in-house now.
So we were outsourcing that stuff before, but now we do all of it in-house.
That's awesome.
As well as we have a company you might have seen before. We have a company called Plugins that does these little keychain holders that look like guitar amps. And if you've ever seen them, they mount on the wall, and it looks like a little Marshall, and you have a keychain that's your 1/4-inch jack, like on your amp.
I have seen this.
You put your keys on it, and you plug it in.
I have seen this.
That's our company, Plugins.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so
I love this.
Music.
We're in this world of music. We don't make much more money from the music itself anymore.
It's what's around it.
That's right. And that's smart that you found this niche that you got.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Cheers, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. I'm stoked to watch you guys today.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. I was slightly nervous heading into that one. It was another big band name that I, had seen the band back in the day when I was just playing in metalcore bands in Montreal, my metalcore band called 3 Mile Scream. And it's, there's something strange that's tied to your childhood when you meet these stars versus when you meet them when you're older and you're, something more about maturity. As I was heading into the interview, I was quite nervous, but as soon as I sat down with Dan, it was just a smooth, nice chat, and he's just such a cool guy. So a huge thank you to Dan for coming and having a beer with me on Vox&Hops. On the note of t-shirt production, if all goes well, I will receive your t-shirts tonight, and the shipments will start going out next Monday because the post office is closed over the weekend, so it's not going to happen then. So starting next Monday, I'm going to start shipping out a whole bunch of t-shirts to all of you Vox&Hops heads who pre-ordered the very first Vox&Hops t-shirt, the Enjoy Life Metal and Craft Beer t-shirt. A huge thank you to all of you Vox&Hops heads for picking up one and supporting the podcast. I really, really, really appreciate each and every one of you. I always say there is no podcast without you Vox&Hops heads supporting me, sharing the podcast, getting the word out, and now you guys have taken it one step further by getting your very own Vox&Hops shirt, which you can wear, take pictures of, send me those pictures, and you wear them out in public. And when people say, hey, where'd you get that shirt? You tell them about the podcast. I'd greatly appreciate that. You should check out the other 2 episodes that are dropping today. They are also super cool. I got Brody Utley from Rivers of Nile, and I also have a longtime friend, Blair Youngblood, from Mountain Dust. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great weekend. And remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.